How can we use this time to play? How can we use this time to create? What is this little movie that we can create together when auditioning is 98% of the job? How can we find enjoyment and empowerment in it? And that's how I kind of got into coaching, was because I would go hang out with friends and we'd play.
Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast that helps actors master the art and science of auditions so that you can stand out for all the right reasons and none of the wrong reasons, and ultimately book your next lead role. I'm your host, Joey Freddie Larson. Make sure to connect with me on the old IG at Joey Freddie Larson. That's at Joey Freddie Larson. You can slip into the DMs. You can ask me a question. You can suggest a topic for an upcoming episode, or you can apply to be our next guest. And remember, here on Inside the Audition, in every episode, we're going to dive deep into audition experiences, advice, strategies, industry insights, and inspiring stories from top actors, directors, producers, casting directors, and film and theater industry pros. So whether you're an emerging actor, maybe just getting started out, or you're a seasoned vet, you're a pro, you've been doing this for 30 years and you're looking to get to the next level, Inside the Audition is your backstage pass to audition success. Inside the Audition is sponsored, of course, by the Monologue of the Month Club. I'm going to say it again. We're sponsored by the Monologue of the Month Club, which is your ultimate resource for professional and emerging actors who want to attract agents, attract casting directors, attract more of their audience, and ultimately book your next lead role. Now, how does it work? What the heck is the Monologue of the Month Club? Every month, you're going to choose a new made-for-you monologue from a curated list of monologues that we deliver to your inbox every month. Then you'll have the opportunity to join weekly monologue jams, monthly workshops where you'll get professional coaching, personalized feedback, and you'll have an opportunity to collaborate with other international growth-minded actors in our community so that every month, by the end of the month, you've got at least one new polished monologue that then you can use to attract your audience. You can show it to your agent, show it to casting director, and ultimately use that brand new piece of powerful work to attract your next lead role. So the Monologue of the Month Club is your golden ticket to your next lead role. To start that journey, you can go to monologueclub.com. monologueclub.com. And if you don't know how to spell monologue, I think there's a few different versions, but this is the full one. I'm going to spell it M-O-N-O, that's mono, M-O-N-O-L-O-G-U-E club.com, monologueclub.com. As I'm saying this right now, is like, maybe I need a shorter website. Monologueclub.com, we'll link it up. You guys will figure it out. But getting to this episode, we've got another installment on our special Coach's Corner episodes. Our guest today is a Nicaraguan/Canadian classically trained actor, director, and writer with nearly 2 decades of diverse training and collaboration in both theater and film, drawing from experience at haloed institutions like the Stratford Festival, the Los Angeles Theater Academy, the Theater Movement Bazaar in New York City, the Second City in Hollywood and Toronto, and my favorite, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. She brings a dynamic and cross-cultural perspective to her craft, and our guest today fosters a supportive and challenging environment where actors feel empowered. Give some Inside the Audition love to our guest, also one of our new coaches at Actors Audition Club and the Monologue of the Month Club, Alexandra Fiallos.
Hi.
Fiallos. Did I hit it right? Fiallos.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yes. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Actors Audition Club and welcome to Inside the Audition podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Joey?
I'm fantastic. We're in podcast land. For those who are listening, you can go back. I don't know when they're going to be released, but I just recorded an episode with Sahil Zervi. Now I get to have a chat with Alex. So let's go straight into it. I'm going to throw you straight to the wolves. I would love to hear one of your favorite, if you have an interesting, a fun, it could be a nightmare, one of those audition stories that has some lessons that you learned in it. Tell us about a memorable audition experience and what you learned from it.
I think one of my favorite audition stories is one that wasn't an audition for me. I read for my sister to just for a one-liner, she was having a Staples commercial and it was just oh, we have to do all these commercial auditions, let's just go through it. And I was just reading for her, nothing else, but just as her reader, the director called me in for the callback. But this is like kind of post-COVID-y time, so we weren't sure if we're like, oh my God, are these casting directors getting so cheap? They don't want to hire the readers. So I didn't realize I was like actually auditioning in the callback until we got in the room. And I look at my sister and I go, I think I'm auditioning with you. And we got in the room and the director called me and he goes, oh yeah, you're the actress that I called back in because of her voice. Because my voice was so alive. He didn't even see what I looked like. Thank God I was also an actor. But he thought my voice was so alive that he called me in for a callback. And we ended up booking the Staples commercial together, my sister and I.
Oh,
And we didn't even have like an actual bit. The Staples like clients liked our chemistry so much that they created a little storyline for the two of us to have as well. And so I always love telling that story because it was something that like, even though it was something for somebody else, even though it was a commercial, we still tried to treat it with everything we had. And even though it wasn't for me, I still gave it my all. And then ended up booking a commercial with my sister on it, which was really special.
that's huge. That's amazing. That's one of the greatest experiences of your life, probably. Now, your sister is also an actor, or she was just
Yes, she's also an actress. She's actually at the Stratford Festival right now in their Birmingham Conservatory for the next 2 years. So she's in
amazing?
The Winter's Tale and The Trojan Women this
Wow.
season.
Look soon to a new episode with Alex's sister. What's her name?
Yeah.
Shout her out. We'll have her on.
Her name is Katerina Fiallos.
Katerina and Alexandra Fiallos. Okay. Have you guys ever performed otherwise together? Like, do you stage
So
things?
we haven't performed together, but I was in a play that she had written and directed called Morning After in the Toronto Fringe Festival in 2023. And that was like an acclaimed experience. We produced work together. She was one of my producers for Start Swimming in the Hollywood Fringe in 2019. She was like a first year theater student and came all the way out to LA with me to help produce this Fringe show, which was amazing. So we've done a little bit of writing together, but we've never gotten to like actually act like on stage
Right.
together. So that's something that probably we'll do when we're a little older.
This is what we do. We manifest things into the world here
Yeah.
inside the audition. So now it's out there, and so it
Yes.
is. It's already happened on some other quantum time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I want to address something that you said there. Like, obviously, you were working with her. Your job was to help her. You weren't thinking, oh, if I do a really good job, I'm going to get a call back.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing to happen. But I want to address that, and it's something that I've always felt strongly about here at Actors Audition Club. In traditional audition scenarios where all the actors are going into a casting room, usually there's one reader reading, and often their instruction is just to read as flat as they can, like
Mhm.
barely, you'd barely even call it acting. It's just kind of a flat read. And I think part of the reason casting directors do that is so that everyone's just got an equal playing field, and the
Mhm.
only variable in every tape is the actor who's on camera.
Mhm.
Uh, and then you can see what they do, like even things like timing and vocal variation. Like often you'll hear the reader flat. Now, in the age of self tapes, I'm of the mindset that that is not the right way to go, because I feel that I do a better job on camera when the actor on the other side is alive, like a real
Mhm.
human being in that scenario. Now, of course, the actor off camera is not going to be upstaging you. You don't want their voice to be louder than yours.
Mhm.
But when I watch a self tape and it's cooking, it's fast, it's got some pace, they're ping ponging back and forth. The person on the other side is actually saying their lines with feeling and intention rather than
Mhm.
a monotone read. That brings the whole thing to life. So I can't imagine how when you're watching that, it's subconscious. You watch something and you're like, oh, that was alive and back and
Yeah.
forth. And I was hearing two strong voices and human beings rather than an actor and then a monotone reader and then an actor and a monotone reader, and you're trying to imagine how this is going to sound when we put two actual actors together. So all that to say, um I think the key is to have a strong reader who's there with you acting, not just being a monotone person. How do you feel about that, Alex?
I think acting is not meant to be a silo. Even like solo shows have a whole crew and the audience is your, support. It is your partner in a sense. I think coming from training where my teachers didn't like let us do the scene and then gave us notes. They had sometimes, obviously, especially when we were almost in performance mode. But I had like voice and movement coaches that would yell out corrections as we were going through it. And I also got that from my like dance training. If anybody's in dance, like I had like a decade and a half of dance training, and you don't get to stop and think about the correction. they're yelling at you, no, point your foot like faster, get it out, get it out, get it out. And you don't have time to overthink what they're saying to you. And so I know I do that with my coaching as well. And I think with having a reader that's as alive as you helps you not overthink it. You don't have time to go, oh, if I did this, you just are actually instinctively reacting and responding because every single scene, there's someone who's acting and reacting. And I think that's like, it's such a gift now because I've also been in the era of like you having to commute 5 hours from Ottawa to Toronto to do an audition in person. And yeah, you're there and you're like, I just lost 10 hours of my day to do an audition with someone who could not say the lines properly, but it's okay. I did my best, like having to almost overcompensate sometimes. And sometimes I know of actors who felt like they lost a job because they had to overcompensate because the reader couldn't support them, which was their job. But now we have this like we kind of lucked out in that sense where we do get to play with in a time where we're all like, boo, self-tapes, this sucks. The least we can do is go, okay, what are the positives? How can we use this time to play? How can we use this time to create? What is this little movie that we can create together when auditioning is 98% of the job? How can we find enjoyment and empowerment in it? And that's how I kind of got into coaching was because I would go hang out with friends and we'd play. We'd go, how insane can we make this tape? How much further, how much deeper can we go? We have nothing to do all day. Let's like really get into it. Let's do that with Shakespeare, do that with other monologues, do that with theater where the repetition is so present. So I think that the reader being able to just support is so important. And I know I do that with my coaching. If the few clients of yours that I've been able to work with so far know that when I coach, I get in it with you. I'm also an actor in the room with you. I'm also reminding you of the circumstances, the severity of the situation, the lightness of the situation, the play, or, like that, helping you build the world as best I can. And so I think that's all part of the reader is like the actor's got a lot of work to do now as tech, as director, as coach, as producer, as editor for these tapes now. If you as the reader can just like hold them, or just cradle them so they can give their everything, that I think is such a gift.
And mic drop. That's the end of the episode. I think we nailed it on the first question. Uh,
Yeah.
really want to speak directly. This isn't to you. This is to listeners who may still be thinking, they don't care about the reader. The reader doesn't matter. Yes, they don't care in the fact that they're not casting the reader. They are casting you. However, if you're thinking that the reader doesn't matter, you're not really understanding performance dynamics. You're not understanding physics. You're not understanding subconscious first impressions. So imagine the difference. I don't care about the reader. I'm just going to use my grandma, my mom, my neighbor, my kid, someone who's can barely read the lines, can't put them together with any life and pace. And no real shade to them. It's just they're not trained to be a professional actor like you are.
Mm.
So if you think you're going to get an equal submission, now, yeah, the casting director should be looking at this from an eye of separation, but it's subconscious. If I'm watching something and it's
Mm.
cooking and they're playing ping pong and they're acting at the speed of life and the other person's not a monotone, broken up, where they're tripping on the lines and tripping on the words and the words don't have any of the intention that is actually could be in the scene,
Mm.
there is a difference there. So just if you're thinking that you're saving money by being like, I'm just going to use this random person,
Mm.
you might still book it, and you hope that the casting director has the imagination to be like, okay, let me picture this person with another trained actor instead of that terrible uncle that they used as their reader. But then you're leaving it up to the imagination versus
Mhm.
a tape where someone just sees it and is just like, oh my God, she's the girl. Like that was
Mhm.
her. That's it. Right. So thank you for sharing that. Now I want to
I
move.
also think that I also think that with readers, if you like you said, don't care who your reader is, I feel like when you're doing an audition, you are also reflecting what you're like in a production. If you don't care about the crew, if you don't care who you hire, if you don't care, that is also present.
Right.
And I think that like that's such a big because when you're in like a 50 to 100, 200, 300 person crew as some of the sets that I've been on, every single person matters. Every single person's on their A game. Try to set yourself up for success. Because if you want to be on those sets where everyone's on their A game, then also try to get those people on their A game in the room with you before you're on set.
Right. Yeah. What comes up to me when you say that is just the importance of team in general. You
Yeah,
want
exactly.
you want your A-listers and your A players around you supporting you, no matter what part of it, like that could be you have a nutritionist? Do you have a trainer, a biz coach?
Mhm.
Do you have your therapist? Do you have all of those people, your agent, your manager, your publicist, like all of those people, the stronger your team is, including your reader or your audition team, the
Mhm.
the better you're going to end up doing. So,
Yeah.
uh, can I want to know how you first got started into all this because I love actors and I love all artists because to me they're like real unicorns to take the road less traveled, to take
Mhm.
what some people might perceive as a risk and have this weird artist life rather than go to school, get a job, and stick to that job as long as you can. So, how did you start? Tell me about your early beginnings.
Yeah, so I grew up speaking French and Spanish at home. English was my third language. And one of the first memories I had was being like 4 years old and watching the Nutcracker at the National Arts Center when I was a kid. And I think there was something about I've always didn't realize this at 4 years old, but now as an adult I can clock this. I think I was so mesmerized with the ability to see the story without language.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter I barely knew English at 4 years old, but, like, it wasn't great, but I understood the story, and I understood the pain, and the joy, and the music, and that, imagery on stage. I understood that, and so I got into dance really quickly, and when my dad he's my Nicaraguan parent, he used to read me, like, children's versions of classic literature, because he wanted me to learn English, like, rich language, and so I grew up reading, like, Jules Verne and Shakespeare versions of stuff, and I think when English isn't your first language and you don't really get to develop a sense of humor, or you don't know how to express yourself in a specific way, and at a young age for me, Shakespeare was one of the only spaces where I could say the words and people would understand me exactly how I wanted to be understood,
Wow.
and it was one of those spaces for me where I was like, "Oh, I can understand, like, I can finally be understood. I can say something and it lands in somebody else the way I want it. Whilst, like, I wasn't very funny in high school because I didn't know how to, like, land the jokes and do this, and my English only got to where it is now going to theater school, where I spent 3 years of my life dedicating to, like, the cadence of people speaking English of all eras and, as theater school is. So that's kinda how I got into it, and it just became this place where like, I have a lot of emotional intelligence, that's like, I wasn't very school smart, and I'm very lucky my parents saw that, and they go, "Okay, she's got this thing," and it's like and also my parents are not artists. Like, my dad's an engineer, my mom's an accountant, like, they were the furthest thing from going to see theater, and, like, they watch movies, but they were, like, fun movies, and I think there's that, they very they, like they nurtured my play and my imagination, and having a little sister who's also have that, like, playing role play stories for hours on end because that's where we found our joy was really, I think, kind of, like, nurtured all that stuff, and then now I just got to a point where I did not see any other version of my life happening. It was just this or nothing, so it's been kind of something I've been wanting since I was a kid. I think I found something from when I was, like, in grade 2, and it was like, Alexandra is 6 years old, and when she wants to be a movie star. Like, that was something that was really early on was this awareness of, like, performing and being on stage and connecting with people. That was, so that's just kind of I've been doing it ever since, and I did theater school, and I've been coaching and writing and directing, and I just became obsessed with I do stunt choreography as well. I'm doing, choreography work for a dance piece right now because there's fighting in the dance. And so there's just, like I love the, like, never-ending branches that can come from this art of storytelling.
First of all, shout out to your parents for being super cool parents and for not like constraining you or
Yeah.
you all hear those stories of like, what the actor? No, you need to like from their own fear or whatever, or just genuine love for you. Like I want you, I want you to succeed at
Yeah.
life, have a nice home, and do all that stuff.
Mhm.
But for them to let you explore your own freedom and figure out what makes your own heart happy, that's huge. And there's a lot of parents who don't have that courage just to be like, let's let her fly, and if she
Yeah.
flops, we're here for her. So shout out to them. I love what you said about Shakespeare too, how that and that's the beauty of Shakespeare is even though it's heightened language, there is a universalness to it where once you figure out the story, it's like these are hundreds of years old, but it's human. So you hear those words and you feel things, and people are like it is a language that you can communicate with. Do you have any favorite Shakespeare you want to drop? Want to drop a little?
Oh, um,
It was Shakespeare's
I've
birthday
been.
yesterday, was it? I think I saw a post.
It was on the 23rd. Shout out to my homie Shakespeare. It was his birthday. Well,
Shout out
technically
to
his
Philly
baptismal day
Shakes.
because back then they didn't like track birthdays, so they tracked when they were baptized. But fun fact, I got my one and only tattoo on his birthday 2 years ago because I wanted to get my tattoo Shakespeare's birthday.
Is it a
It's a
Shakespeare tattoo?
it's got pieces of it. Romeo and Juliet was the first Shakespearean play that I read. And so I have a dagger and two roses in red. And so the dagger is like kind of the rose and the dagger of Romeo and Juliet in that imagery. Um, I keep thinking about I was thinking about Romeo and Juliet again because I've been watching Lady Jane Grey. It's like this Amazon show that got canceled, and I like watching shows that got canceled, and I like watching them after they get canceled to go, why? Why did this get canceled? I want to understand that a bit more, even and if it's good, why did it get canceled if it's so good? And the romance, I keep thinking about when Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time in the masquerade and they're talking. And if you see the text on paper, because Shakespeare's got iambic pentameter, it's dee-dum, dee-dum, dee-dum. They have every line is 10 syllables. But with Romeo and Juliet, when they meet each other for the first time, Shakespeare's way of telling us, because there's no stage directions, because obviously they didn't have printing press back then. Shakespeare's way of telling us that these two people were soulmates was that they finished each other's phrasing, if you will. Not that they finished each other's sentences, but Juliet would have 5 syllables or 8 syllables, and then Romeo would give two. And so they would each finish the 10 syllables to make each other
Right.
whole. And
Ooh.
I always like, I keep thinking about that. Just that's genius. And it's that idea of that imagery that they have at first with the concept of like wanting to kiss each other and religion. And if they're religious, like they worship each other and that give me my sin again. Like that always, that kind of keeps, I think about that, that like interaction like once a day, maybe.
Yeah, it's the highest love stake is the highest stake love story of all time, and so many times it's been retold not under the name Romeo and Juliet, just you shit, and you're like, oh, this is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Especially the like the rival family aspect of it, you know.
Yeah, there's that concept of status and that idea of like I think now, especially with us as a like society, like not having money, and we're like all of us are like we have no money, and I see people like wanting to get married because they're this person has an apartment, so I'll have an apartment if we get together, and it's we're almost going back to this like Regency era, like getting together for what people have and status and looks with social media and stuff like that. So I find that all comes around.
Yeah,
So
I just got back from a vacation to Dubai, and let me tell you, I was
yeah.
looking for princesses everywhere. I was
Yeah.
like, "Where's, where's my ticket?" Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just be the son-in-law of a wealthy sheik over.
Yeah.
Um, what was your very first role?
Oh, I mean, other than playing the color blue when I was in grade 2 in a rainbow play,
Solid,
I
good color. Yeah,
so I think that's like this first memory I have. I
is
think
blue sad? Is it a sad color in that?
no, I think it
Yeah,
wasn't. I think it was the color of peace.
gotcha.
I think so. 'Cause um, but I think the first role I ever did was I played Harry the horse in Guys and Dolls in grade 7. That was it, and I
Oh,
remember I never ever did not sing, hence why I got that role of that musical. And I remember seeing the cast list, and I didn't know the musical at all. I think I just auditioned to, like, be in a show because I was just so hungry to be in an actual production, and I remember looking at my drama teacher going, "Am I a horse?" Like, I fully thought that I was gonna have a horse mask and have to be a horse. I have now learned that Harry the Horse is just a gangster nickname, but that was, I think, my very first, like, theater role, if you
you're
will, in high school.
practicing your
Yeah, I was kind of like, "Is this clown?" Like, I was like the world of musicals is was so and is still so foreign to me because 'cause I'm so, like, classical theater and physical theater based and film and television, so sometimes people say things from musicals, and I go, "I don't know what you mean. I have no idea what's going on." So that's, yeah, I think Harry the Horse is my first official
Cool. Love it. That's a great one. It's one of my favorite questions and always yields great answers. You remember a line?
from Harry the Horse?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Maybe, like, "The crap shooters are here." I don't know, I can't remember. I do remember when the Stratford Festival did it a couple years ago, I was pumped to see it. I was like, "Where's my boy Harry?" I was like, "Let's go."
Nice.
I it was, yeah, I think my first role, like, that I felt really, excited to play was, I have this history in my acting career for some reason where I get cast really quickly in main roles because like under not even understudy situations, someone goes, "Oh, we need someone to fill in really quickly." And the first time that happened was when I played Desdemona in Othello,
Wow.
in grade 11 and like in high school, and it was
We're
the
gonna start
original
you off
Desdemona.
slow. We'll just ease you in there with a little.
Yeah, I was like, I think at that in that show, I wasn't even like actually in the play acting. I was just a fight. Like I was working on the fight choreography end of it, so I wasn't really involved. And I remember my drama teacher coming in going, "Hey, so and so can't play Desdemona for for the rest of the run. You have like a week and a half to get it." And I was like, "Okay." So that was I think the first time where I was like, "Oh, I'm an actor now. Like I have a role and I have like to
Yeah,
hold stakes and have a relationship on stage." And that's a very memorable um production for me. It was like a steampunk themed Othello.
cool.
It was really, really fun.
Have you ever reprised Desdemona, or was that the one and only?
That's been the one and only so far. The only roles that I've reprised more than once are the First Witch from the Scottish play, or from Macbeth, we're not in theater, we can say it.
I am. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, does the
Yeah, I played
studio
the
count?
First Witch.
Studio doesn't count. This,
No, I don't think
this
so.
is an audition
No, no.
studio, not a theater. Macbeth
Yeah,
ghosts.
yeah. It's a real thing. It's very real. Well, we did when we did the Scottish play in high school, we were saying it obviously all the time, and we were like, "Oh, blah, 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 Macbeth, Macbeth," and we're like, "Oh, what a silly superstition! Nothing went wrong." The next show we did was Grease, and everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. The big Grease sign fell on the car. People were losing their voices, like just like people were breaking, like twisting ankles on stage, like everything. We're like, "Oh, now it's caught up to us." Like this
Love
a
it.
very real thing.
Speaking of Grease, my first role ever was grade 8 Grease, and I got lucky to be cast my first thing ever as Kaniki. And I got
Ooh,
to do I was the lead singer. Obviously it's an ensemble thing, but I was the lead singer with the go Grease Lightning, you're burning up the quarter mile. Grease Lightning, oh Grease Lightning. Yeah, it
so
was
good.
amazing. We had the sunglasses, we were all
Yeah.
jean jackets, we're all looking cool. Like there's
But
no
it's just like grade 8's so tiny and cute and precious. You know what
right.
I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
so
We're acting
funny.
like we're these fully fleshed human beings, and I don't even know. I'm trying to think now. Were we like fake smoking, or was this was
We
maybe
had the fake
past that?
smoking.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things, I think this is a core memory. I might still be fucked up by it a little bit. So maybe I need to go therapy about it. But in one of the nights, I think we did 3 shows. I think the first 2 went awesome. And then in the third night, I just got distracted and kind of went up on the lines of that song. And that's
Yeah.
my big moment. And there was a guy, one of my best friends was in the front row and he was kind of on cue cards. And I think what I did is for some reason, just my brain went into second verse instead of first verse. And then I
Mhm.
realized it and my head's going, oh no, I'm doing the second verse. So, and then I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, no problem. I'll just fix it. I'll do the first verse second and everything will be good. But the guy on the cue cards didn't know. I mean, I was off book, but I think I was
Yeah.
on, but he didn't know that I had made the mistake. So he didn't switch
So,
back. And so it was all of this was probably like a glitch barely noticed by the audience. Like maybe there was a little hesitation and something.
yeah.
And I remember I was like in my head devastated. I stormed off into the dressing room, which was just the little boys' locker room next to the
Yeah.
gymnasium. It was a gymnasium stage,
Yeah.
theater, and I went back there and I was all like, I like had like a total meltdown. I was like pissed. I
Mm.
felt like I've ruined the show. I've let everyone down. I can't believe I forgot my lines. And it's probably one of those things where barely anyone noticed because it's the grade 8 play. So who who cares? But
Mm.
it has been a memory where it's a reason why I will over prepare
Mm.
because I'm like, I never want to go up on my lines like I did at grade 8 Grease that one night. And it was because it was the final performance too, and that just in
Oh,
your head.
yeah.
More you want to crush the last one. Everyone was amazing. But that's my fun little story of my Grease fuck up. Yours was grade 8 too?
I think I was in grade 7.
Grade 7.
Yeah. I was
Who
in
did you
grade
play in
7.
Grease?
Also, when I was in Greece, I played Cha-Cha de Gregorio, and I was in grade 10.
Nice.
Yeah. Braces and all. It was
God,
really
that's
good.
great. Say the name
Yeah.
again. It's such a funny name.
Cha-Cha de Gregorio, I think is how
Big
they said it.
Yeah, yeah, great. So I want to shift to talking about auditions a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me, Alex gets an audition, the email comes in from your agent. What is
Yeah.
your standard operating procedure when you hit that audition checklist from the time you get it to the time you press submit on Actors Access? Tell me.
Ooh, okay. I'll see the scripts first. Before I even read the breakdown, to be honest, I immediately go to the scripts.
Mhm.
I wanna see what I get before they tell me anything. Because if I'm reading it, I kinda wanna glean things off of it before I kinda have this predisposed idea. So I'll read the script a couple times over, probably read it out loud to get it in my body if I can, and then I'll go back and look at what she's coming from, what the backstory is. If I have access to the full script, I will read that as well. I will always read the full script if I can. And then I print it out. I print out every single one of my scripts, or if I'm on like vacation or I can't do it, I have my iPad with like where I write everything down. And I go through a couple things. I go through like the English steps, if you will. Like I treat it like a Shakespeare scene, to be honest.
Yep.
I go through punctuation, adjectives, verbs, monosyllabic lines, all those things that I go through just so that, like you say, like, what and people always ask me how I learned to memorize things really quickly, and I think it's that. It's just having a relationship with the words you're saying before you even saying them.
Right.
So just having a textual, technical relationship with them so that you
I'll tell you
can
what, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, just that you can if you do because you know the technique so well, you can let it go and really get into the emotions of it and the circumstances of it. And I'll do that and then start building the world and then the emotional journey. And it depends on how long the script is and what's going on. And then just having, but that's always my go to immediately. Like I treat it like a Shakespeare scene every single time.
I love that. That's one of the values of working on Shakespeare. I found I did the Shakespeare thing in high school and kind of like I didn't connect to it. It was just I don't know why we learn about these old books and all these old plays. And I was busy doing other stuff, sports and girls and all this kind of stuff. It just was not my focus in grade 10.
Yeah.
Um, but later in life and going through a conservatory program, I really fell in love with it or fell in love with it for the first time, just from our teachers. And it was that meticulousness of going word by word, phrase by phrase, thought by
Mhm.
thought, and being explained the method behind the madness too, like monosyllabic, and the iambic pentameter and
Mhm.
difference between if there was 9 syllables or 10 or 11 and those little things, or when there was a
Yeah.
switch from iambic to prose and why, like opposites and simile and metaphor and all these things.
Yes.
And I think actors these days, especially if they're just thinking, oh, I'm a TV film or I create content online, don't appreciate how going through these longer thought, more elevated text will help them with everything else they ever do because
Yeah.
you're never going to get a monologue that is more challenging than breaking down a massive 1, 2, 3, 4 page Shakespeare monologue. So it's like it just informs your training so much to work on it. So that's why we work on them. I work on them regularly in class.
Mhm.
In the Monologue of the Month Club, we have a few months dedicated to Shakespeare because, like, for example, one of my favorites is Henry V's speech, St. Crispin's Day speech, where he's really rallying,
Mhm.
he's rallying the troops. And
Once
for
more
me,
into the breach, dear friends. Once more.
yeah, that's earlier during the battle. This is
Oh yeah.
late. This is that this, but that yeah, that's one of them. I have a comedic version of that one that I've adapted. That
Of
is,
course it is.
it's I've changed it a little bit. It's once more, as in chocolate, marshmallow, and graham cracker. Once
Mhm.
more into the breach, my dear friends. Once more, and it's Henry talking to all his buddies about how he loves s'mores around the campfire. So we'll save that for another time. But
Of course.
yes, but but that both of those speeches, they're like every locker room halftime speech,
Yeah.
every lawyer addressing the court to win everybody on his side of the argument, and they go through thought by thought, and you got to connect the dots. So that for me,
Mhm.
being able to spend the time working on a Shakespeare monologue then makes everything else just easier. And the other thing I wanted to say about what you mentioned is you don't just memorize lines. Like memorize should be a swear word because that's just an
Yeah.
intellectual thing. What you said is if you're going word by word, phrase by phrase, thought by thought, syllable by syllable, you're actually figuring out what are you saying and why am I saying it? You're not
Mhm.
just memorizing words to then regurgitate them with no connection and no meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because obviously we're getting thrown so many auditions all the time, and sometimes you're getting 6-page auditions, or I had a 12-page audition recently, which is wild.
Should be
Um,
illegal. I think technically it's illegal by the union. I think the
yeah, well, it was an indie theater thing, so it
maximum
was
time.
one of
There
those
you
things
go.
where I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, classic."
That's great though,
But
because then you be the actor who steps up and you crunch through. Everyone else is like 12 pages. I can't do 12 pages. I don't have enough
see,
time to do 12 pages. But then you deliver it like you're off book on a
mhm.
opening night performance, and they're like, "Holy shit, this is
Oh, the commitment and I think also with a lot of Shakespeare's monologues, well, it's like I said earlier, because they didn't have the printing press back then, there was no stage direction. There was no space for like character descriptions. There's no space. So like you had to know and glean what you could off the actual dialogue first
right."
before anything else. And I think especially when you're doing a text or an audition, and sometimes like let's be real, some of these auditions that are coming in, the writing's not good. So and you're like, how do I
Yeah,
find the
there
passion,
is
the
no subtext
excitement?
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, how do I add subtext to this? How do I, and I think also having, especially like soliloquies, have so much inner conflict, and they're so rich with that like conflict that like, shall I speak ill of him that is my husband, or like even like the brother in Edmund and King Lear, like thou nature my goddess, but like fuck, why am I a bastard? Like, why bastard? Why base? And it's that uh to take that ability to create so much with no direction.
Right.
Right, especially when you're not, especially when we are in this new silo of self-tapes in auditions, how do you as an actor take this tape? Sometimes you don't have access to readers, sometimes if you do get an in-person audition, how do you prep to do it with another human? I love doing those soliloquies or keeping that muscle alive through that, because then you also these, like, modern texts feel, like, so easy because the language is more similar to how you speak in a day-to-day basis.
Yep.
Um, and there's a bit more because you played on such a grand scale with these life or death situations in these monologues, Hamlet, Juliet,
Right.
in Isabella for Measure, all
I
these
think I can
characters.
handle the hot dog vendor after that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you just kind of, um I think there's that expression of, like, if you're as an actor, your range are all the notes on a piano. Right, at your emotional range. How can I play every note? And so I love doing Shakespeare stuff because I can go like Edmund's monologue from King Lear is one of my favorite monologue. I will maybe I will get cast as Edmund one day, but that's not my traditional typecast, obviously, because I'm not a man with a brother. But that anguish and the feelings he has, and the jealousy and the rage and the conniving, like that role has helped me get cast in other roles, and having that like the space you can have to exist in that, but then also going from someone like Juliet, who's wondering how she's gonna live without this person she met a week ago, and no one else will understand that. Having that
Yeah.
range, then when you get the Hallmark movie, you can make it believable. You can really bring it to life, even though it's a Hallmark movie. You can give it that Juliet level affection because you've already reached that note on the piano. Now you can go a couple octaves down,
Yeah.
and I think that has been like life changing for me is when I was able to mesh the Shakespearean technique and language and modern text. It's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, I'm really happy we had you on the podcast. Obviously, I wanted to make sure that all the coaches were featured. I want to feature you as an actor too, but I really like everything you're saying right now for our listeners. This is a master class in acting and how to prepare and how to be committed to the craft itself. Um, the oh, I lost my train of thought as I was praising you. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, I guess that's the end of the podcast.
Shakespeare,
Yeah, it was on
coaches, featuring
Shakespeare.
coaches for the podcast.
Shakespeare, say it again.
You're talking about featuring all the coaches for the podcast because you're saying I wanted to get you on the podcast for A, B, and C as an
Oh
actor and as a
yeah.
coach.
Um, man, it's gone.
It's okay. Masterclass in acting. I don't know.
Yeah, I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, getting back to the Shakespearean stuff, that's something that I think everyone should work on. It'll just heighten everything that you
Mhm.
do. And yeah, that's really funny. That was just like a straight out like erasure from my brain. Oh well.
Oh
Uh,
well, happens.
yeah, yeah. Let's shift into coaching. When did you
Mhm.
first start helping other actors?
Um, I think when I was directing productions, I kind of felt I really enjoyed doing it, and it's one of those things where I think I think there's a difference between talent and skill. I think skill is something you work really hard for, and talent is something you're born with. And I think I'm a very skilled actor, but I'm a very talented director. It's something that's very innate to me. I don't really have any formal director training, but it's something that kind of it's like how I see the world. And I really enjoyed teaching. So one of my first directing pieces was the complete works of Shakespeare abridged version. And if you've ever seen it, it's online. I'll send you because the humor is very up your alley, Joey. But it was it's about these three guys who go, let's try to do all of Shakespeare's canon in under an hour,
I
and they
love
do
that.
all these.
I love those kind of Shakespeare shows where they
Yeah,
tilt it and put it on its side. Yeah, I love those.
and so they essentially do all these like versions of skits. Like they did Othello in as a rap, and then they did all the histories as a football game. Like so they do all these
Right.
different ways. And I kind of updated the text because it was written in the '90s. So some of the jokes were a little outdated, but I think have nobody else in the program I was in at the time and that I was in the show had ever done Shakespeare before. And so I had to go and at like 18 years old teach everybody in my class about Shakespeare and all
Shakespeare
those things. And,
101.
and yeah, Shakespeare 101 and, like, directing them in that way, and I really fell in love with it there, and then when I got into theater school and I was being plucked to direct stuff and I was being invited to coach, and it just becomes a thing when you're also in such a collaborative space with actors that, when I think I really felt it when I would watch something and go, "I wish I had more of that." And I wish and I also had really amazing teachers that, I went to, like, a little city college in LA, and if everybody who knows in the States knows the city colleges aren't funded at all. There's no money in a city college. They're not really fancy schools, and I think that hustle of like, okay, we have no money. What do we do? How do we build something from
Yeah.
nothing?
Yeah.
And every teacher that I had were like Moscow Art Theater graduates, NYU Tisch graduates, SoCal graduates. Like, there's tons of beautiful schools out in the States that they were the top schools for their masters and stuff. And I remember asking them in my audition, actually, but for my theater school at LACC, and I said, "You guys could teach literally anywhere. Why come to City College like here?" And they said they love the diverse, um, collective of people.
Yeah.
I was one of the youngest people in my class, but there were other actors who were 20s, 30s. There was a woman in my class who was a mom of 3, and she finally got to theater school because her youngest went into school full time, so she could actually finally pursue it. We had one gentleman who was a paramedic part-time, and so I think having that collaboration and having that openness of like, "I love this, let's build on that." And that kind of came into it, and then with self-tapes and with, scenes, and we also used to, like, work together with writing scenes and creating stuff together. So I think just, like, the building and then when the pandemic hit and you're like, "Ooh, this sucks," for every facet of it, that I really liked the idea of, "Okay, the phone's not gonna ring, and I'm not gonna wait for the phone to ring, so I'm gonna learn how to build a phone, and I'm gonna build my own phone." And coaching just became a thing at first as, like, a way to connect with my friends and, like, spend time with them. I think your friends are just as important as your agent and your support system because this job is so inconsistent and unstable, your community has to be solid. And that just kind of coaching just became something where, like, my sister would ask me to read for her, and she'd go, "You're really good at this. You should, like, keep doing this." And I'd be like, "Boo, no, I don't wanna. It's fine. I don't need to. I'm an actor." Like, having that, and then it just became a thing where I really just got addicted to it almost, where I liked also reading scripts that I would never get cast as, like, the grouchy old guy at behind a hot dog stand, but I like that I can get into the headspace of it, and it stretches my muscles as an actor and as a director and a writer in a way that, like, very quickly in a way that I wouldn't really get to any otherwise, and I also get to connect with other artists and hear their perspectives, and it's just lots of sponge stuff for me, just getting to
Yeah.
absorb everybody.
It's a whole new level too, like coaching and working with something like one of my least favorite stupid sayings that is out there that is just absolute garbage is those who do and those who can't teach, which is just
Yeah,
absolute utter nonsense. I mean, there might be some instances of that, but
yeah,
there's a certain breed of person who's incredible at doing and is also blessed with some skills to teach and coach and or just the motivation to even want to reach
yeah,
and help someone else because it can be
mhm,
a lone wolf career where you're like, I don't have fucking time to help somebody else. I'm just
yeah,
figuring out how to grab my own on the way. But a couple things is helping and teaching. You always like the more you say something to someone else, the more it's sinking into yourself. It helps you be a role model. Like I always want to I mean, I'm helping coach other actors, and I'm helping other coaches here. So it's like that helps me keep a certain level of
Mhm.
standards. So I don't totally drop the ball and just not prep or just do something
Yeah.
amateur. So for all of those reasons, but also just um, all it is to be a coach is you're helping people see blind spots they didn't see, and it's that 1 + 1 = 3. It's a shift perspective, letting them see. Like sometimes we don't even know what we're even doing because we don't get to. We get less ability to see what others are doing now than ever before because
Yeah.
we're often all at home. We're not together in as many rooms as we used to be. So, Sawhill was talking about he was in a casting room just to kind of hang out and get to see the whole casting process from that side, and how valuable that is because then you see 50 actors come in and you see
Mhm.
the good, the bad, and the ugly, the lack of prep, the full prep, the stupid
Yeah.
foot in the mouth moments that people shoot themselves in the foot in a live audition and all those things. And getting to coach and help people allows us to do that too. So it's like
Mhm.
it's helpful to them, but I love doing it because I feel I get better and I grow every time I'm helping someone. And
Yeah.
the thing is getting this is makes me feel old now. I don't have kids aside from my 10-year-old pug here, but getting the news from an actor that booked a role makes me feel like a proud dad, or
Mm.
the someone I helped. They're not my kid, obviously, but
Yeah.
well, that they book something that's going to change their life. Often, these are a lot of our clients are also my friends. I've known them long enough that I care about them. I know their spouse. I know they have kids. I know
Mhm.
figuring out how to pay for groceries and to how to deal with inflation and how to deal
Yeah.
with economic downturns. So, like, I know that the stakes are high, and then I'm like, I get to celebrate with them. When I was on vacation, I was down in Phoenix and I got a text from one of our actors here at the studio. I'll shout her out, Tara O'Brien. Has been coming here. She's an OG member, and she booked a lead role in an upcoming feature film. And the text I got was, "I booked a lead" in all caps, and then crying emojis, crying. So I'm texting her back saying like, "So, oh my God, I'm so proud of you." Like, and the interesting thing is the audition before that was an audition for basically a one-liner that we had a conversation about, like, she's like, I want to be going up for lead roles, not one-liner roles, which is of course is where everyone wants to be. But it was like, well, how do you put all yourself into this one-liner and
Mm.
still aspire to the bigger roles? And the next one she got was the lead role for a feature, and she booked it. And then she's sent
Mhm.
me bally emojis, and I get to celebrate. And I'm in Phoenix, and I'm tearing up as I'm texting her, and she's
Yeah.
send me all these screenshots. And that's like one of the greatest feelings in the world, is to get to do what we love, but also get to help someone else do what they love. It's magic, and it's a little selfish because I get to help someone, and then I
Yeah.
feel good too. So I like,
It's just I feel like this, industry can be so ruthless, and it can be so, like, you're trying and trying and trying, and especially with everything that's happened, like, I graduated theater school into a pandemic. I graduated it
right.
into the
Welcome
strike.
to the
I
world.
graduated it
Yeah.
into moving to a new country, like, all these things that, like, have really pushed my career back and anybody in my generation's career back quite a bit, and to like, when other people have wins, even if I didn't help them with it, I tear up because
Of
they
course.
come so rarely
Yeah.
sometimes, or it feels like they do,
Yeah.
that you're like, "I can't help but just, like, lose it every time," and I think that's something that, this is such a community-based thing. Theater used to be storytelling around a fire, telling,
Right.
learning, and educating, and, like, theater specifically are just, like, used to be a place of education. You didn't have to have a lot of money to see theater. You could, like, there's the penny loafers and you could go see it at any point. And so to see this, like, accessibility or everybody getting access to such a gift that now because of all these different things, economic downturn, like, I work 4 jobs. It's exhausting. And so it's like you to see somebody work really hard all the time and then they get that is such a gift. And it also gives me hope every time.
Yeah.
It always makes you know what? And, like, if you can do it, then, like, I can do it, and, like, we can figure this out in this weird time right now where none of us know what's happening and not even the studios knows what's really going on. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty with the direction of this industry, and I think having these moments of connection. I think I've always been, I think, when you're on stage with someone or you're in a scene on set and you're so locked in, your whole body is on fire. It's on like your every molecule is somewhere else. I find I always continue to try chasing that. And it's hard when you're doing a self tape to find that again. But then when like I did an audition, it was just a general audition for a theater company. And I have to give a shout out. Richard Lamb was one of the adjudicators on this you know, audition panel. And he saw me do my Shakespeare and he didn't know me. He knew my sister though, because he had done a play with her earlier that year. And I did the monologue, and it was Viola's monologue of I left no ring with her. And he was like, okay, can you just do it to me now? Because auditions, you always like look above the act. And I actually just got to do it to him. And I remember walking out of that audition and feeling like I was on cloud nine
Yeah.
because there was this connection of like being this other person locked in and doing the story and and I think that that's something about coaching that I find special is I get to also like watch somebody else do that. And sometimes I get lucky enough if I'm in the eye line, if I get to have that with them, and that's really special. Even if it's like if they don't book it, I still want them to walk away feeling like I won. I can circle this day. I had a breakthrough. I feel more empowered. And that's always my hope is that everybody can walk away like a little bit more empowered out of a session.
Yeah, there's a big mistake that a lot of actors make, and people do it in all areas of life. That when they see someone else's success, their scarcity mindset makes them think that someone else
Hmm.
getting something means they've taken away something from you, or there's not as much of the pie left for you. Rather than
Yeah.
the abundant creator mentality is there's an infinite amount of wealth and resources out there. You're not competing with one other person. So when you see
Hmm.
someone succeed, instead of seeing that as, oh, when am I going to get mine? They're taking, I should have got that. I deserve a birthday. Instead, think, oh, the universe just gave me proof how close to me, like adjacent to me, I'm in an ecosphere where I'm doing the same stuff they're doing, and they just booked the role of a lifetime. Man, I'm so close. Good for them. I'm going to be there right with them one of these days too. So it's a huge mind shift. I did remember what I was going to mention.
Yay. Okay. What was it?
So you mentioned 88 keys. That's something one of my coaches often talks about, where in an audition, people often get caught up with what do they want, which who the hell is,
Yeah.
how are you going to answer that question? Even if you knew who they was, you don't know what they want. So
Yeah.
why would you even play an impossible game that is impossible to win?
Hmm.
But the other thing is, there's no right or wrong. It's just show them as much of you and as much of your choices and talent as possible. So how do you do
Hmm.
that? You play all 88 keys. So is that physically? Is that vocally? Is that emotionally?
Hmm.
Is that camera dynamics? Like pack as much into it and really see auditions not just as I hope I'm doing it the right way they want it for this
Hmm.
role right now, but here's a short film or a mini movie or my art presentation of
Yeah.
me and everything I bring to the table as a human being, as an artist, rather than is this right and is this wrong?
Mhm.
So, and it's just so important. And even if you're like I'll weave in stuff where it's just to showcase that, like it's
Yeah.
as of course I want to just say I'm not doing it randomly, like it's got to fit the story. It's got to fit the script. It's to make sense for what's going on. I'm not just going to be like, I want a yellow line here, and then I want to talk soft and cry here. Like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it randomly, but how can you show casting and really show the world as much of you as possible uh,
Hmm.
as an artist? I think that's what we do.
Well, I think there's something about my good friend Liam Lynch, who you should have on this podcast. He's very smart and very funny. But we were talking about the frustrations with what scripts are getting greenlit right now. We watch a movie because we love seeing movies together, and we'd watch away going, that got millions and millions in funding.
Right.
We were like, what? And he made a really good point to me that has forever shifted it for me is that right now, I think studios, the way they're producing films, they're trying to force us to care about characters. But I think where television is doing really well is because they have the elongated time frame of TV episodes, they give us the opportunity to just let us be curious about characters. And that I think is where you can nail it. Is if a casting director's just become more curious about me as an actor, or like not that I would necessarily do what they want, but they're like, I'm curious as to what else she can do. Call me, do the callback. What like that? Even if I don't get it for that role, they'll call me back for something else. because there's a curiosity. As long as I've made them more curious about what I can offer, I'm a happy camper because I think this like you said, this like right way of doing it. This like I hate nothing more than walking out of a theater, whether movie or an actual theater, and going, "Oh my God, they were just telling me how to think.
Right.
They were telling me what I thought they thought I wanted to hear." And I have no interest in that. I love walking out of something and having more questions than answers and letting it sit with me for days. And I think I try to do the same thing with my auditions. Like, how can I not give them what I think they want, but how can I just give them something, just like a peek into what I want to be able to offer them if I'm given the
Yeah.
chance. And I think leading with curiosity has been life-changing for me as an artist.
It should really be like this is my big bold take on cast me in this, and this is what I would love to do with this role rather.
Yeah.
Is this how you want me to do it? You want me to pick it up with my left hand? When do I shrug and raise my eyebrows? Um, yeah, just the idea of like treating your auditions like you've already been cast and this is your opportunity to show them what you would do. And then as long as you've prepped and put everything into it, then you can wash your hands of it and you're not so
Mhm.
attached that you're devastated and that you've been rejected. It's like,
Mhm.
hey, that was my best. That's what I would do with it. And if they don't want that, that makes sense that they would cast someone else
Yeah.
because I don't want to do it not that way, you know?
I think there's like having something to offer to inspire the director,
Right.
inspire the production team, the design team, the costuming team. Like,
Yeah.
just I think creating
Collaborator.
offerings.
Yep.
Yeah, instead of being like, look at me, this is why I'm the best for the part. Just going, this is what I'm going to offer you.
Yeah.
Could take it if you like. And especially as someone who's been in the director's chair now a couple times, it's sometimes not like somebody's not a great actor. It's just that there's another actor that sparks something in me
Right.
as a director. They're going, oh my God, I want to do this now with this. And sometimes that's all it is just like it's the ideas and it's the inspiration and the muse element of it that is really fascinating.
And often it's someone who found some story beat that someone else didn't.
Yeah.
Or they maybe did something the opposite of how it was played on paper or how it was written, and you do the opposite, stands out, but it actually works. And they're like, huh, wasn't seeing this character as that, but that was interesting. And next thing you know,
Hmm.
callback room. When someone works with you, so we've got, yeah, I mentioned we're lucky enough to have you on our team here of coaches at Actors Audition Club and in the Monologue of the Month Club so that you're able to work with people in some group settings in our
Hmm.
upcoming monologue jams, but also as a private one-on-one coach via Zoom internationally or in our Toronto studio. When an actor books with you, just what's your approach, or how do you go about unlocking the best in an actor, so that
Hmm.
listening actors who are listening who might be booking with you, what can they expect in a session with Alex?
Yeah. I I'm very big on like checking in with each other. I want to hear how you're doing, what you're walking in with. Because then I can best lead you and support you depending on what you're coming in with. Um, I also very quickly will go, okay, excites you about this scene? And then sometimes I have all these ideas. Well, great, let's tackle the ideas. And sometimes they go, oh, I don't know, this is a one liner. I need you. Okay, then I will step up and, like, and that's okay. Like, that's also what I'm
I
here
have
for.
no ideas. I just worked a 12-hour shift and I have
Yeah,
to take care of my kids, and I haven't even looked at the script yet.
and that's fine. I've been there, done that, but it helps me kind of get a better understanding of what they need as an actor, whether they need me to like take the lead or they need me to go, okay, we're just going to collaborate and bounce ideas. I will definitely read it over a couple times. I am very big on the moment before, very big on having a strong moment before and a strong finishing button. I had a friend of mine, Halia Jones, an actress from Lock and Key and stuff, and she um, always when her and I would work on something together, she'd be like, "Hold your face at the end," because like, if you're in a casting room and they're all watching it together, that's the face that they're going to see. Whatever face that is when they put it on pause and talk about you, that's what they're seeing.
Oh,
And
and
I always think about that now at the end. So whether it be like a good button and like holding whatever feeling
yeah,
I've got at the end, or my slate at the end slate, if they watch my slate, I'm holding whatever face I want up there for however long they're talking about me in the room.
yeah.
So having those that I'll start kind of from like a sandwich. I'll start there and then we kind of build in because if there's a climax usually in the middle of a scene, right? So I would usually start, kind of play with both ends and then just keep building and building and building. Once I see that the actor is very comfortable with the language, like the text, they're like memorized, they're off book, then we'll start playing with circumstances. let's push this note a little bit further. Let's pull this back a bit more. And I also ask a lot of questions. I'll ask like, and it's not that I necessarily want answers, but just I'll ask questions to reflect, do you think your character is upset about this? And just to see if I can spark something in the actor, um, just because maybe that'll change how they'll stand or how they're going to approach a certain line. Um, yeah, I usually do that, and then sometimes it'll be just sometimes I'm in it with them in the scene, and I'm like, if they really are having a tough time with it, I will coach them, remind them that like they just watched a whole city get burned to the ground, and there are now orphans everywhere. Like I will kind of walk them through building that landscape. So then, and actors are so receptive and listen so well that I had that with a client the other day where I was just like guiding her that way and building the moment before what she's actually walking into, like the real horrors of it.
Right.
And then so she was listening so well that I went, go. And she just went in with that. And it was a take that we used and it was amazing. It was an incredible take. So I think that's what I tried to do is because we're alone, like in the silo of creating, I try to be the actor with you. I try to play with you. I try to push you. I'm also very big on not speaking ill of yourself. I'm very big on not apologizing in the room. I'm very big on, oh, that was a bad take. No, you can like I understand there'll be some takes that are not as strong or like, oh, that's take you can say that take felt
Not
like
helpful. It's just not
no,
helpful. You can
because
argue
you spend
for it
so
against
much of
it,
your
but
energy
yeah.
putting yourself down. That should be to like putting into the character.
Yeah.
That's another big one. I've like definitely been very strict on like no apologies. You didn't hurt me.
Right.
You don't owe me an apology. You did not physically
Because
or
nobody
emotionally hurt
wants
me.
it on set or on stage either. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. It's like I don't want to I don't want to I'm not gonna say cut to myself or that one sucked. Because what if they thought it was fucking incredible? What if that was the one take that the DOP actually nailed and got the right
Yeah.
focus in, and they're thinking this is it. What if the other actor had the best performance of their life? But it's just
Yeah.
ultimately not helpful to be
No.
bashing ourselves. And the other thing it does is it, in a weird way, forces the other person to be like, "Oh no, no, you're good."
Yeah.
It forces it. It just it's yeah. I don't know what it is about it, but it's ultimately it's
I
not.
think I think I've thought about it a lot because it happens often. Even like not in non-acting scenarios, like when I'm at work at the bar or something, when I'm, other worlds, it happens often. I wanted to know why. Why do we as humans do that? And I think what is off-putting about it is the obviously insecurity lives in all of us. There's no doubt about
Yeah,
it. It's
it
part of our
reminds
ethos,
everyone. Yeah,
part of it. Like you can't exist without insecurity. You can't exist without ego. Like it's part of the complete package. But I think when you are so insecure that you don't believe in yourself and you're hiding, if I'm wanting to hire you, it's like, well, if you don't believe in yourself, why should I believe in you?
right.
And I think that's something that like subconsciously happens. And I, as a Canadian who lived in America for a long time, I lived in LA for 5 years. They do not want to hear sorry. They make fun of you for it.
No.
They put you like they will immediately pin you. They respect you
Especially
less.
not
Like,
with a Canadian accent.
no, that's like, and
Totally.
the Canadian accent's so real. And I didn't click until I'd been living there for 2 years when
Yeah.
I was working with a dialect coach. Cause I remember like saying something like, I said bag. And I was like, I think it's like, oh, well, the character had this in the bag. And even my teacher even laughed. Like the
Egg,
whole room,
egg.
bag, because Canadians say it with a smile. We
Right,
say bag, but it's bag.
right.
Americans lower, they don't smile through their words the way Canadians do. And that was when I saw even my like esteemed Moscow art theater teacher laughing, and I was like, "Whoa, what is the deal? I can't hear it." And now since I've done the dialect training, I can't unhear it. So
Right.
now and even when I work at a bar part time, and half the time I have guests ask me where I'm from because I don't have the Canadian accent. They're like, "Oh, I can't pinpoint like you have an accent." I was like, "No, I just kind of standard dialect or
Living.
whatever it is, a
Yeah.
little bit of everything, you know." But I think that constant apologizing for yourself also just like unlearning shame. Like you don't have to make yourself smaller. There are
Right.
enough people in this world that are going to put you down and make you feel tiny. And like you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that for yourself. Like I think it's so so valuable to go, okay, that wasn't that good of a take. Let's continue. Like don't linger in the like, oh, I missed it. I messed it up.
Right.
Oh, and like
Oh, it's
you then you
terrible. It's
you've spent
awful.
so much time and energy, and it almost is a selfish act, especially if you're on set or
It
in
is
a rehearsal
not
room.
almost, it is a
It
selfish
is.
because what you're doing is you're making it all about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, and you touched on it, but you mentioned the insecurities. The other thing that it does is it makes us cringe for you because we're being reminded of all our insecurities when we were crumbling. Like it's also part of the reason the allure of like the open mic amateur night stand-up comic could see someone rise to the occasion and blow everyone away in their first time, or you see someone just
Yeah.
absolutely like just crumble as a human being in front of you, and it's like
Mhm.
watching a car accident, but it's not productive
Yeah.
do that. So the lesson, folks, listeners, is believe in yourself and treat yourself kindly, and your inner monologue should be the things like if you actually were to transcribe your inner monologue and read it, a lot of the times if it's negative, you'd be like, fuck this. Like if a stranger told you that, you'd be like,
Yeah.
who the fuck do you think you are? Why are you
Yeah.
talking shit to me like that? But we're
Mhm.
sometimes not so kind to ourselves. And it's a bit of a learned thing, I think, but a great
I
lesson.
am when I started directing, I read a lot of leadership books before I read directing books, I read leadership books.
Yeah,
And I read a really good one called Mindful Leadership. And one of the sentences that really stuck out to me was if you're afraid of everybody else judging you, it's probably because you're judging everyone else.
exactly.
And so that I was like, oh yeah, if I'm afraid of people thinking of how I look, it's because they're subconsciously it's because I'm doing it.
Mhm.
But really, nobody is thinking about anybody else. Like, I bet you anything, the majority of the time, everyone's worrying about themselves. Like, there's nobody, yeah, there's
Yeah,
really nobody sitting
nobody
there
even
going,
noticed till you said it. It's like
yeah,
people who say they make mistakes, and you're like, I didn't even notice. If you had have even pointed that out, I wouldn't notice. Or people when they come late, and then for 15 minutes after they're late, they're apologizing to everyone. It's like not only are you late and you kind of disrupted things, but now you're making it all about how you are late and forcing everyone
yeah,
else to talk about your bus situation. Like just
yeah,
hey, thank you for your patience, and then let's get to work.
yeah.
Don't spend 10 minutes. Oh,
On
oh,
your fault, on a
yeah,
miss.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
That was great. So, I want to ask any other final questions, anything else you want to share to actors out there? What are you looking forward to in your own career? What are you looking to manifest? And also inside Actors Audition Club and the Monologue of the Month Club.
Ooh, I'm really looking forward to I've been writing a lot, so I have a couple scripts that are coming up, and I've got some exciting things that I'm enjoying because I really love people watching. I have been working on a solo show. And I am absolutely taking experiences from bartending that I'm being shared. So I think,
Love
when
it.
you have crazy I think that's my advice to actors who are up to work multiple jobs, I think, is to we don't love doing this. I don't love being up till 4 in the morning to bartend. I don't, but you have to pay your bills somehow. But to um take what you got and see how you can spin it in a positive light and go, this is just for the stories, for the scripts that I'm gonna write. These are for my award-winning scripts. Like I just have to kind of and like keep track of it and write and invest in yourself as much as you would invest in somebody else, I think is really important. Things that I'm looking forward to. I would say I touched upon it earlier. I'm doing stage combat choreography for a dance piece. It's called Ohala, and it's a 30-minute dance piece at the Native Arts Center in the East End. And it's beautiful. It's all Latin artists, and it's this incredible uh, 30-minute piece of these like six dancers that are dancing nonstop, by the way. Like that is some stamina to
Right.
have that and about relationships and inner conflict and exterior conflict. And I'm very excited to kind of just be a little bit a part of that and adding some of the stage combat safety in dance and stuff. But otherwise I'm just excited to kind of get my own ideas off the ground. I've got some stuff in the works right now that I'm excited to be able to go. It's been in my brain for so long and now I get to
Yeah.
have it outside of my noggin for a bit. So that's sort of
Yeah,
what I'm looking forward to.
ideas and brains and hard drives are no good. You got to put
No, exactly,
them.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's the saddest thing ever to have. Oh, I had this great idea, or I did this thing, but I haven't released it yet. It's in my hard drive. It's like
Yeah.
get it out there, get some feedback from it, and then put it the next thing. I love that. How can people connect with you? What's the best way? Where Instagram? Instagram.
Instagram's probably great. You can also reach out. I have a website, which is my first and last name.com. I've got my email in there as well because I respond to emails quite well. Instagram can kind of get messy with like people are weird in DMs, and sometimes I don't look at them because the request DMs are a scary place. Oh,
Well,
sometimes the best way is just to reach me by email, because I
we'll
know it's the
link it in the
professional.
chat. It is
Yeah,
alex.andra.fiallos, which is Fiallos. We'll link it all up in the show notes here.
yeah,
But this has been great. Thank you so much for hopping on. Excited to have you at Actors Audition Club. I actually worked with you,
yeah,
2 days ago. You helped me in a self tape and gave great coaching and insight and advice. You're a great reader. And you snipped it together and you edited it together for me and got great feedback from my agent. Still waiting to hear from production, but
yeah,
a great experience. And I think anyone who just listened to you talk about your love for acting and love for coaching and love for the industry, surely is excited to have the opportunity to work with you more. So I'm sure they will. We're going to bring this podcast ship back into harbor. We're going to
yeah,
wrap it up. We want to thank Alex for being here today, for joining us, sharing their unique audition journey with us. And you can if you are, I want to let you know, if you are either a professional or an emerging actor in theater, film, or maybe you're a director, maybe you're a casting director, producer, if you're someone who's making bold moves in the industry, I would love to have a chat with you. We interview industry professionals at every stage of their journey so that you can share your practical tips, your insights, your wisdom, your inspiration. And I'm a big believer in other people's stories really inspire other people. So you're even as people downplay their own stories, be like, I ain't nothing. But you might have the one story that unlocks something and a level of inspiration that allows someone else to pursue their dreams. So if you are a person who's looking to get on the podcast, you can go to insidetheaudition.com. There's a little button that says apply to be a guest. And one more time, I want to reiterate to everyone that mastering powerful monologues is the most effective way to showcase your unique talent so that you can put yourself out to the world to attract your own audience or agents or casting directors and ultimately land your next lead role. And to get started with us, you can join the Monologue of the Month Club at monologueclub.com. That's www. We use three W's in our websites. I don't know what you guys use, but we use three W's, the three W's, www.monologueclub.com. And remember that every audition is an opportunity to showcase your unique talent, to tell a story, to create art. And it also might be the opportunity that changes your life. So that next life-changing role might be coming in your inbox tomorrow. You want to balance the lifelong commitment to this art with the magic of anything can change in an instant. And when you're ready for those opportunities, your life could be changing tomorrow. And if you want a little help with that, you can get some professional coaching and some professional readers, editing, file transfer with Actors Audition Club, myself, Alex, and the rest of our team. We're here 7 days a week to help you via Zoom. And we've got our studio in Toronto, but we connect with international actors all over the world. You can go to actorsauditionclub.com. You can click the button that says book private audition coaching, and then you can go through our team of coaches, find the one that you think you're going to work the best with, or just have a session with all of us and you'll learn some things from all of us. We'll help you shoot a standout audition in less time so that you can book your next lead role. So thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you next time on Inside the Audition.